Hello, hello, friends. It's Raquel from Infinite Succulent here with your energy forecast for the full moon in Taurus on October 28th, which is also a lunar eclipse. Now, before I get into the full moon in Taurus that we have coming up on the 28th of October, I wanted to just touch base briefly on the last moon we had, the new moon we had in Libra with the partial solar eclipse, because that was a pretty powerful lunation and there was a lot that was happening in the world right around when that happened. Now, I actually created the video for that lunation. I usually create my videos about a week in advance. I created that video where I shared about the energies and posted the Moonblog before the events that unfolded. Unfelled. That's not a word. You know what I mean. And I just wanted to touch base on that a little bit because intuitively, what I picked up on for the new moon, the solar eclipse we had with the new moon, was this importance of sacred reciprocity, as well as a real focus on the children and seeing what has played out in the world. And unfortunately, what is currently playing out in the Middle East with the Israel-Palestine situation. I was just really astounded by what I had received intuitively and then what kind of happened in the world. Because ultimately, what we're seeing happen, play out in the Middle East, and this is not going to become a video about that by any means, but ultimately what we're seeing happening there is what I consider toxic reciprocity. Cycles of violence, retaliation, retribution, when we're really being tasked as a people now to return to this relationship with Earth and with each other in sacred reciprocity. We are meant to give and receive from each other, just as we are meant to give and receive from Earth. And then that big focus on the children, I really took it as to mean like it's time for all of us to learn from the children, which I still believe in, very much so. But obviously, there was a huge focus with the war that's currently happening, and with unfortunately so many innocent children being the victims of this current violence war. We're just having a really big focus on the children. And I think as a society and a species, we're really being tasked to come back to a place of prioritizing life and prioritizing our children and the youth and just life in general. So anyway, just wanted to kind of address that a little before we dive into the energies coming up with this Taurus full moon with a lunar eclipse. Now, I wish I could say to you all, this is going to be it. After this Taurus full moon, things are smooth sailing, and this Taurus full moon will just be a great completion and everything will be over and everything's going to be great. Wouldn't that be nice? It doesn't really work that way. And honestly, I don't think it's supposed to. Earth is a planet of contrast and of friction. And not that I don't believe that peace is possible. I very much do. And I am someone who I would consider very much a peaceful warrior. I am a pacifist. I'm all about peace. But I don't believe that everything is supposed to be all like love and light all the time. I think we are here to move through and transmute denser energies as well. That being said, what I'm picking up on with this Taurus full moon is a lot more emotional volatility. We already know that full moons are emotional times. They very much are here to both illuminate and help us let go of certain emotions. The moon represents emotions in general, our emotional selves, our subconscious. Full moons are about illumination and a letting go, a release. When we have an eclipse paired with it, it's basically a full moon on steroids. It's a very intense full moon. Now, for those who are actually in alignment with the lunar eclipse and that they'll actually see this lunar eclipse, you can expect to have even more charged volatility. But for the rest of us on the planet, we will feel the energies of a very, very powerful full moon. And I do believe that this lunar eclipse will be visible over the Middle East and over parts of Asia as well. So part of what I've been picking up on for this Taurus full moon is really about belonging, returning back to a place of belonging, and for humans to remember that we've kind of been getting this sense of belonging wrong for many thousands of years, where we kind of felt like Earth belongs to us, and that's created a lot of wars over resources and land. But truthfully, the Earth does not belong to us and has never belonged to us. We belong to Earth. Now, Taurus is the first Earth sign in the zodiac, is a fixed Earth sign. Taurus is stable. Taurus is sometimes a little stubborn. very grounded, very peace-oriented, very much focused on the pleasures of physical life. Now, we also have the sun in Scorpio during this Taurus full moon. And if you're not familiar with Scorpio, Scorpio is a very much a drama loving sign. Scorpio is a water sign, the depths. Scorpio likes to dive deep into dark places, places most other people don't want to go to. Scorpio is all about the taboo. And Scorpio is really all about drama and making the unseen seen. So what I'm expecting for us to have with this Taurus full moon and Scorpio season and lunar eclipse is unfortunately more of the same. More emotional reactivity, more of people both trying to bring the truth to light and also people very much providing a lot of misinformation and disinformation to keep the truth buried and people confused as well. So we already know this is happening. Please be cautious in the media that you are consuming right now. Please fact check things. Please look to trusted sources. There is a very much concerted effort to kind of brainwash people right now and make people really confused and make people not know what is true and what is not true, who is right, who is wrong. We're really being kind of coerced into this kind of divide and conquer space where we have to choose us versus them, who's right, who's wrong. And I really would advise that we not do that. What I'm getting both from the moon, Luna herself, and from my own heart and my own values is that we need to quiet that noise and come back to our own centered values. And that's really this biggest theme of this Taurus full moon with eclipse. There's this theme of belonging, of remembering that every single one of us humans belongs here on Earth, every one of us, and that we belong to Earth. And then there's also this really big theme for all of us around grounding, around connecting with the energies of Earth, and around the heart, coming back to our own heart center. So I'm an energy practitioner. I do energy transformation sessions. I work with the chakra systems. I work with energy. So I want to speak to you about grounding from an energy medicine perspective. We can get very technical around grounding. What kind of hertz are you pulling in? Are you have bare feet on ground? None of that matters. Ultimately, when we're talking about grounding from an energy perception, all we're talking about is opening ourselves up to intentionally receive the energy from Earth. And we can do this from anywhere. We can do this from indoors or out. We can do this with shoes and socks on, or we can do it with bare feet on the earth. All that it takes is intentionally pulling or allowing our energetic roots to extend down into Earth. We can imagine this. I believe that I have a free meditation on my website, infinitesucculent.com, the tree meditation. This will help you do that. And we want to pull that Earth energy up into our body with our inhale, and we want to let that Earth energy settle into our body with our exhale. This is a very powerful energy practice, and it's really, really important for this Taurus full moon eclipse in particular, because the world is not stable right now. This human world, human society is not stable at this moment. So we need to find that stability from Earth herself. Some people might say, Earth is not stable either. I disagree. I actually think that the vibration of Earth is on the rise. I think Earth is very much alive. And I think Earth is actually trying to help us remember this sacred right relationship we're supposed to be living in. I don't like to use the word right, but the sacred reciprocal relationship we're meant to be living in that we're currently very far from. So that was the first big like energy practice message the moon was sending, was really about grounding. And then the second energy practice that the moon shared with me for this particular full moon is about coming back to our own hearts, coming back to our own values. So in my Moonblog, which I will link below in the notes below, I share a little energy practice where I kind of guide you through a practice of grounding, connecting in with Earth, pulling in earth energy, and then coming to the heart space, coming back to the rhythm of our own heart. And the reason the moon was letting me know that this is so important is because right now there are so many opinions, there are so many voices, there's so much noise all around us that is really putting a lot of pressure on us, that's causing our hearts to close, that's causing our throats to close, that's causing our minds to be extremely confused. And the only way to counterbalance this coercion that is coming our way is to come back to ourselves, come back to our own rhythm, come back to a positive place of self-centeredness. Now, I think the term self-centeredness has gotten a really bad rap because ultimately we want to be centered in ourselves. We want to be in that centered place. We take the term self-centered and we make it mean self-absorbed, but I don't really think that's what self-centered means. So I'm reclaiming that word, friends. I'm reclaiming self-centered as a positive thing. And this particular Taurus full moon with lunar eclipse wants us to come back to that positive, centered self place. So grounding and spending time listening to the rhythm of your own heartbeat, coming back to the values that are living inside of your own heart space. These are the practices that will help us through this emotionally charged Taurus full moon with lunar eclipse. Now, I've talked a bit about eclipses in the last video. If you want to learn more about eclipses, you can check out my Moonblog. But ultimately, an eclipse is when a lunar eclipse is when the moon is actually going to be shadowed by the earth in rotation. So that's what's happening in eclipse. And eclipses are known for kind of chaotic energies because of this kind of shadowing of our luminaries, of our light sources, whether it's a solar eclipse shadowing the sun or it's a lunar eclipse shadowing the moon, right? From an energy perspective, we actually want to take time during eclipse season to just be still, to be present, to listen to the voices inside of us, to listen to our own heartbeat, to come back to our own centered place, because the world will often feel chaotic during eclipse season. And that is actually meant to be. The way I was taught about eclipses and how I feel into eclipses is that eclipses are actually moments where the universe is kind of making moves. If the whole world is a board game, we're usually the ones moving the players around, but during eclipse season, the universe itself is moving the players around, and we're supposed to be like, don't do anything. And then after eclipse season, we kind of look at the board again and be like, okay, where do I make my move now? Where do I make my move now? So we can kind of take a little bit of pressure off ourselves to like have to control, have to manifest, have to make everything happen. And instead look at eclipses as a time to kind of rest and reflect and try as much as we can to respond as opposed to react. Right now, as we can tell in the world, most people are in a very reactionary place. And, you know, when we are in these volatile moments where everyone's being very reactionary, it's hard not to be so ourselves. But that is what we are being tasked to do. That is the mission, if we choose to accept it, is to come back home, home to earth and home to ourselves. All right. So this is the message for this particular full moon with lunar eclipse. And this is also kind of the end of eclipse season. We'll feel a bit of the eclipse energies until we get to the Scorpio new moon later in November. By the time we get to that Scorpio new moon, eclipse season will be completely past. It'll be over. That's not to say that we won't still have chaos in the world. We will. It's just part of the process. It's part of the times we're living in. But we will have much better understanding of where we currently are. And I do believe we'll also have a much better understanding of where we're going from here as well. So just need to get through this current eclipse, and the best ways to move through the energies, the chaotic, emotional energies at play with this Taurus full moon is to ground, pull in energy from Earth, make that connection with Earth, and to come back to the values of your own heart, to come back to the rhythm of your own heartbeat, to come back to yourself, your values, your voice, your heart. All right? These are our missions. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. If you want more details or if you're looking for some journal prompts for this particular full moon, head to my Moonblog. You can find it at infinitesucculents.com. I will link it below. And if you like this video, if you like this kind of content, please let me know, like, subscribe, share, and give me a little comment. And I'm wishing you all a very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm wishing you all a stabilizing full moon in Taurus with lunar eclipse. And I hope that this full moon actually illuminates for you your pathway and your journey back home to yourself and back home to your place here on Earth. I'm sending you so much love. Mwah. I'll see you guys next time.